Welcome to Aiken this week. I'm Emery Langston. Today we are being joined by staff members from our city manager's office. We have Lex Kirkland, who is our risk manager, Joy Gillespie, who is our capital project sales tax manager, and Courtney Clyburn Pope, who is the solicitor. And I thank you all for being with us today, taking a few minutes out of your schedules to come and talk to us. And I know all of you are relatively new into your positions with the city, and so we're excited to get to meet you today and get to know you a little bit and talk about what each of you do in your role and position with the city of Aiken. So we're just going to jump right in and get started. And Lex, we're going to start with you.
Great.
And I know that you are actually about to hit an anniversary mark, your year mark with the city of Aiken.
That's right.
But you're not new to the city of Aiken government. And so if you would just share a little bit about yourself, your educational background, your professional background with us.
Well, I'm a proud product of the Aiken school system. I moved to Aiken in 1989. I attended Schofield Middle School and then South Aiken High. And from there I went to USC Aiken. I graduated from USC Aiken in May of 2000 with a business administration degree with a concentration in finance. Upon graduation, I went to work as a financial advisor for Waddell and Reed. That really began my interest in insurance and risk management. And I worked there for about a year before seeing an advertisement for a position with the City of Aiken's finance department. I was lucky enough to get that position and came to work in 2001 as the business license administrator and the risk manager for the City of Aiken. At that time, you probably spent about a quarter of your day, working as the risk manager. But that was always my favorite role, always my favorite part of the job. And I worked in that role here at the city for a little over 11 years. Okay. After working here for 11 years, I got an opportunity to go to the Savannah River site and work for Savannah River Remediation. I took a job there in their procurement division, working as a field procurement engineer and then later as a buyer. And in total, I worked out at SRS for about 3 years before coming back to the city as a full-time risk manager just a little over, almost a year ago.
Right.
In 2 weeks it will have been a year. So I'm so happy to be back here at the City of Aiken working as a risk manager.
Yes, and I know that it keeps you awfully busy.
It does.
So Lex, why did you want to come back to the city?
Well, at heart, I really feel like I'm a public servant. I enjoy serving the community. I enjoy working with our employees. And as a risk manager, I'm kind of lucky. I get to work with all our departments and help them accomplish our goals while looking out for the safety of our employees and citizens. I'm proud of the work that our city does, that our departments do. And I get a lot of job satisfaction from working here, but probably the biggest reason that I came back to the City of Aiken is the city's really just kind of been a second home to me.
Sure.
So I'd say that's the biggest reason that I came back.
Well, and I guess starting out with the City of Aiken as the business license administrator and risk manager, back in the early 2000s, our city has grown so much. So the need for a full-time risk manager, became very strong. And the scope of your position, I know when you came back with the city, the population has grown and what the city does internally,
Sure.
taken on many responsibilities. So basically the scope of your position and role with the city is large. So take us a little bit through what it is to be the risk manager for the city of Aiken.
Oh, wow. You do so many different things. No day is really the same. And that's a challenge for me. I'm the kind of person who likes to have a list, have something to check off, but that rarely works out for me. My plan for the day rarely works out. I handle most of the city's insurance and claims. Of course, not the health insurance, but I oversee the city's general liability, property, auto, cyber, workers' compensation insurance. So things come up, with claims involving those lines of coverage almost every day. I also oversee our city's safety program, which that includes, safety training, OSHA compliance, things of that nature, and just a lot of interaction with our departments, keeping those type of concerns on track. In addition, I also oversee our wellness program, which the wellness program was already well established and something to be proud of. Even before I started, our wellness program includes just so many opportunities for our employees to make a positive impact on their health.
Mm-hmm.
Amory, that's something that you participate in,
Yes.
being on our wellness committee.
Yes.
Nearly all the programs that we have, require some work or some effort on the employee's part, almost to kind of earn the benefit in a sense. Examples being, our gym reimbursement program. We've got a running event reimbursement program, nutrition counseling, fitness counseling, smoking cessation programs. The list just really goes on and on for employees who are looking to take, that active role in improving their health. In addition to that, I think probably one of our greatest wellness benefits that I'm lucky enough to oversee is our employee health center. A lot of folks don't know this, but we have an employee health center that's staffed by nurses from Aiken Regional Medical Centers. So we work in conjunction with them to provide that service to our employees. And these nurses work to keep our employees healthy through education, health screenings, trainings, vaccinations, and they really just have thousands of encounters with our employees throughout the year, and getting to work with them and oversee that program has been real rewarding for me. But that just kind of a brief summary of all the different things that I get to be involved in. So
you do, what's amazing to me and what's a really great thing is you do so many internal and external proactive programs to help keep our costs down, our liability down, and with those trying to get ahead of the game. And as an employee, I know that y'all are familiar with what the wellness program too. It's so tremendous, and then with the safety aspect. So you wear a lot of different hats, Lex. A lot of different hats.
I do.
What do you like best about your position?
Well, you said I wear a lot of different hats. I think one of the things I like is the variety.
Right.
The variety. There's always a new challenge, a new project, or a new claim that that we've got to work through, figure things out. So the variety is great. We also just have a lot of terrific employees and citizens, and getting to work with them. For the most part, employees and citizens are great. So that's one of the benefits of the jobs. One of the things that I like. I also really enjoy what's getting to know what's going on in Aiken. When you work for the city, you tend to know that things are going on, and you get to be involved, and get to feel like you play a role in that, which is exciting, and that's fun too.
It is. It's fun to know that what you're a part of is making a difference.
Sure.
Well, I got one last question before we kind of move the conversation along. Tell me the trick to being a good risk manager.
Oh, the trick to being a good risk manager. Well, it kind of sounds like a joke, but the key is really getting other people to help you do your job. Okay. Risk management, it can't be seen as just one person's job. One of the most important things that I do in working with our departments and in working with our employees is helping them see and understand the role that they play in helping keep the city safe and helping manage things, and helping them be a risk manager helps me.
Sure.
So getting them to plan their work with safety in mind, looking for the hazards, when everybody's doing their part, that makes my job so much easier. And for the most part, I get a lot of help. Our citizens can play a role in that too. We have a safety hotline that they can use to call in hazards that they observe in the city for non-emergency type things.
Yes.
So our citizens can call 644-1910. Again, that number is 644-1910, and any non-emergency hazard that they have that they want to share with the city, they're welcome to call that number, and we'll follow up on it. I find that we get, a number of things called in there that don't really match up with what the city does, but if possible, I'll find the correct agency,
Sure.
and get it to them, or if it's something we can handle, we'll follow up on it and we'll handle that. So the trick is getting a lot of people to help you.
Well, and I think that's so great that not a lot of people know that we have that hotline that you can call in on.
Sure.
And I know that has been helpful.
I just have to stress non-emergencies.
Non-emergencies,
because I'll check that every morning, or every Monday morning at 8 a.m. So
Yes.
if it's an emergency on Wednesday, you might be waiting a little while for the help.
Yes, well, definitely there are appropriate numbers to call for emergencies.
Yes, ma'am.
So very multifaceted positions. So well, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about some capital projects. And we're going to talk to Joy. And Joy, you have been with the city now for about 4 months.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your educational experience and your professional background and what brought you to the city of Aiken.
Great. I grew up in North South Carolina and went to school in Orangeburg. I attended USC Columbia, where I received a bachelor's degree in political science. From there, I worked for a law firm, and then went to the city of Georgetown in Georgetown County, and before I actually went to work at the University of South Carolina. So I was there for 8 years before I came here to the city of Aiken. And while I was at USC working, I received my master's degree in public administration.
Oh, okay.
And but while working at USC, it allowed me to further my experience with project management. And so there we handled all projects for all 8 campuses throughout the state for their construction and renovation projects. I worked directly with the university architect, which has provided me the experience to come here to the city of Aiken and be the capital project sales tax manager.
Well, very good. So you are no stranger to capital projects.
Not at all. Not at all.
Which I think that not everybody understands what the capital projects are and what that means for our city. And these are some very large projects. So could you talk to us a little bit about what that means? What is the capital project sales tax program for the city of Aiken?
Sure. Capital project sales tax are approved by voter referendum. The capital project sales tax 2 and 3 are projects that I am currently working on. They were approved in 2004 and 2010, and they are a result from a 1% sales tax for anything that's purchased within the city. And so as part of that referendum, the voters approved very specific projects that the funding would be allowed to be spent on. And so some of those projects include like the Citizens Park walking trails that we have recently received a bid on, and we'll be going into construction for that. Perry Park restrooms, same thing. We will be sending that out to bid very shortly. But also larger projects such as the Northside Park recreation that we are planning on the north side of Aiken towards the interstate. And Eustis Park.
Yeah, the list just goes on and on and
Yes.
on. But I think that I'm so glad that you brought that up, that these are projects that have been voted on by our citizenry, by the voters. Then they are, you go to the elections during November, and when it's that time of year, I mean, or when it's that cycle, you can go and vote on what you want, if you want it, if you don't want it. So this is the citizenry that's really in action.
That's correct.
So I think that's a really neat thing. But the programs, I mean, and the projects can be so large in scope. The process, and the program management, the project management on that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that process and the steps that it takes to move these projects along, because I know that they can be quite extensive.
First off, with a project, you must define the scope without the scope, you don't know what type of project you're going to have or what direction you're looking for. Depending on the type of project, let's take a construction project. We'll use Citizens Park for an example. We know exactly where the project is going to be. Citizens Park already has walking trails, and this project will provide an extension of those walking trails and connectivity to the existing walking trails to just extend what's already there.
So that would be the scope.
Yes, yes. And with the budget that's already been provided as part of the referendum, we already know what that limit is for the budget for the project. And so for this particular project, we had to put it out for bid, and the background on that, we had to define exactly what it was, provide a map for potential bidders, and put it out the bid for construction companies. And then you wait for that process, and for 3 weeks, and then once the bids come in, we're able to award a bid within, I believe, 10 days for the successful bidder. And so just last night, Citizens Park, the expenditure for the walking trails was approved by council. And as part of the CPST funds, no money can be expended for projects until it is approved by council. That's part of their mandate
Sure.
that they have established for these projects.
Sure, there are checks and balances in place.
Correct.
And I know that you have to go by our procurement code, and all of you deal with state regulation, local regulations, state regulations, federal regulations, and have to be current and up on those things. And those kind of fall into place with what you do and what you're looking at within your the parameters of the process.
Correct. One thing that will help in this process is council approved raising the procurement limit for professional services last night to $25,000 from $10,000. Many of the projects, especially studies or any sort of architectural engineering services that we need, they exceed the $10,000 limit. And so if we have to come back to council, sometimes that slows down the process.
Sure.
In order to get work accomplished in a timely manner.
Right.
Citizens want to see that their tax monies are being spent as diligently as possible.
Right.
And to see the progress for projects that they are anticipating. Part of the exciting part about my job is that you just like Lex said, you have something different every day. And so you have this project, you get it accomplished, and then you can move along to the next. Of course, there's several going on at the same time.
Yes.
But you see an accomplishment and benefit to the community. And so, as part of public services, that's what you want to do. You want to give back to the community and provide services for the citizens.
Absolutely, and that is very rewarding, and sometimes it doesn't happen as fast as we want it to. But I think that that's so important to know, though, and to explain to the folks who may be watching this, is that there are checks and balances in place, and there are processes that have to be done on certain levels too. With this project, you have to go through these hurdles, and you have to wait on this, and definitely we want our council's input and approval on these projects. So it's sometimes not as quick as we hope it would be. Well, you had mentioned some of the projects that we're currently working on. Can you give us somewhat of an update on how those are? I know you mentioned the trails and how that's going, but we have a couple out there that would you be willing to kind of give us an update on what they're doing?
Sure. The city just purchased a piece of property at Perry Park to build a restroom facility out there for the citizens to utilize that park. We are in the final stages now of construction drawings and bid specifications, and we will be sending that out for solicitation for bids probably within the next week or so.
Oh, wonderful.
And so we look to have some progress, groundbreaking on that probably within the next month and a half. We also are working on several other projects. Our training grounds for public safety is a very important project. It allows for training for our firefighters through the burn building, where they go in and have test burns and training for houses and buildings and things like that. But also there's a training tower that they are used to train on as well. So they climb
Right.
and they can rappel down, and there's a lot of benefits for our fire department in those projects, and those are actually in their final stages now for construction.
So, and the alley was part of some projects as
Yes,
well,
yes.
and that is one project that we are certainly seeing hands-on the benefit of that coming to fruition as well, and we're about to really wrap that up.
That's true. We have some more utility work that they are doing as part of phase 3, but very soon, by the end of the summer at the latest, that project will be complete with all of the utilities tied in. All of the overhead utilities will be gone. Everything will be underground. All of the pavers in B lane, where now it's just asphalt, will be completed to complement the pavers that have already been placed as part of phase 1 and phase 2. And the end of the alley will be completed towards Newberry Street.
Well, that'll be so wonderful. I know Pierce talks about the spaghetti, our electrical lines, so that'll be so nice when all of that gets complete.
Yes.
Well, Joy, you certainly had your work cut out for you when you came to Aiken, and I know that it really is a lot of coordination and a lot of organization, so we're so fortunate to have you on our staff to pull these wonderful projects together so we can see all the great projects that lay ahead of us.
Great, thank you.
So now we're going to shift gears even more, and we're going to talk to the newest member of our staff here, Miss Courtney Clyburn Pope. And Courtney, have you hit your 2-month mark yet?
I am right at the 2-month mark.
That,
I'm the baby.
You are the baby. So, well, I know you really hit the ground running when you came in, and you haven't stopped running.
No.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your educational
Sure.
background, what brought you to the city, the whole 9 yards.
Sure. I am a product of Aiken County Public Schools as well. I went to Kennedy Middle School, South Aiken High School, where my mother was the guidance counselor while I was in school.
She was my guidance counselor too.
So I didn't get in any trouble at school. But I also left there in 1997 and graduated from University of South Carolina with a degree in journalism and mass communications. I did work for a state agency for about 3 years until I made the decision to go back to law school. So I graduated from the University of South Carolina School of Law. For all you Clemson fans, Clemson does not have a law school. But yes, I graduated from there, and at that point worked for an insurance defense law firm.
Okay.
And my husband and I moved back to Aiken, and I began my own law firm here with a business partner, and had a very good time doing it, and decided that this opportunity came up with the city, and it sounded like a great opportunity for me, and so I took this position on, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I have a great paralegal, and I love working with Aiken Public Safety. They're really great. They look out for me, and as well as Judge Carroll and Judge Sullivan.
Yes.
So we really have a good time while trying to enforce our city ordinances.
Yes, and that is part of your solicitor duties. You do that. And what types of cases do you prosecute?
Well, we mainly prosecute misdemeanors. So, for example, that would be shoplifting, your first offense. We do prosecute a good number of driving under the influence, that first offense, child cruelty, minor traffic offenses.
Right.
We prosecute those as well. And there are a number of other peculiar things that we prosecute.
Some things that are kind of out of the ordinary from time to time.
Some things that I have to look up and say, is this a city ordinance? But such as speeding on a moped, I think Judge Carroll questioned whether that was possible, but it is. So yeah, we prosecute a good number of misdemeanors.
Sure. So, like Lex and Joy, your position is multifaceted
It
as
is.
well. So you prosecute cases and you also act as the staff attorney.
Sure.
So now what does that involve?
So every day we have city court it begins at 8 o'clock, and I am there most days until about 9 or 9:30, handling the city solicitor position, and then I come and I serve as the city staff attorney. So I handle legal issues that may arise within the city. For example, I've worked with Lex on some different types of insurance issues that the city has had, or questions really
Sure.
that the city has had with regards to insurance. Are we allowed to do this? If not, what should we present to City Council? Or is this a legal question for another agency?
Sure.
And so those are the types of things that I determine. I work very closely with both the city manager and the assistant city manager, and we work on a variety of issues. It's definitely different every single day. It really is, and so it can go from administrative type issues to real criminal issues. Sometimes the city is a victim.
Sure.
And different things, and when that happens, I work closely with the solicitor's office or whatever agency that may be handling that criminal prosecution. I speak on the city's behalf as the victim.
Sure.
So there's a variety of different things
Yeah.
that we've done, from ordinance writing to, like I said, different insurance claims, all kinds of types of stuff.
And this is a question that I've even heard, or somebody's asked me from time to time, is we have our city solicitor, staff attorney, and then we have Attorney Gary Smith, who works with council. So could you kind of tell us about how each of you function and what your
Sure.
roles are?
Well, Mr. Smith is City Council's attorney.
He functions strictly for city council.
Strictly for City Council. He would not handle any insurance type issues
Sure.
that we would have with the city, any HR type issues that we
Right.
would have. He does not work for us in that capacity.
Right.
So he handles City Council issues, and what I mean by that is if a legal issue arises at a City Council meeting and they say, well, are we able to do this? What happens should we do this? He is there to answer their questions in,
Sure.
in a legal capacity.
Sure.
What I do is I handle more of staff issues. So the different boards, the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Design Review Board, I'm their attorney. So I go
Okay.
to those meetings,
Okay.
and when a legal issue arises or they turn and ask a question, I'm there in that capacity for them.
They're turning to you for
Yes.
their guidance.
That's right. That's right.
gotcha.
And so, Gary Smith, he participates in writing different ordinances,
Right.
and occasionally, we would work together.
Right. Oh,
but
yes.
really, that's his avenue, and I mostly help, Design Review Board to write their orders and
Right.
and type those things.
Sure.
And a lot of people have asked me, "Are you the city attorney? Are you the city?" And I said, "Well, I am an attorney for the city,
Okay.
but I am not the city council's attorney."
Right, right.
That is Mr. Gary Smith.
Well, and I think that's great that you kind of gave some clarification to that, because I think some folks do wonder, how your two positions do function and how they work together.
Right.
So that's great. Courtney, what is you've only been here about 2 months, but so far, what's your most favorite part of your job?
I don't know that there's not a good part of the job. There are some uncomfortable cases with regards to perhaps child cruelty that I don't think anyone
Sure.
would enjoy. But I do enjoy very much being able to work with citizens who do come down to the courthouse. I grew up just being raised to help other people, and I think I try to prosecute in that manner. So we take in considerations the victim's point of view.
Sure.
Okay, and whatever I can do to help a victim of a crime, that's what we'll do. And sometimes you also have to weigh the person who committed the offense. Was this something that was done intentionally? Was this something that was done because they need help? Or was this something where someone just made a mistake?
Right.
And
Right.
so you try to negotiate and try to prosecute from both of those standpoints to make sure that you've got an equitable outcome for
Right.
everyone.
Right.
So I enjoy that part, I think, tremendously.
Well, I can understand why. I can understand why. And I think that all three of you have echoed the sentiment about working with the public and really having a joy and a heart for that. And it really shows in how you speak of your roles with the city and what each and every one of you do. And I know that you have tough positions and you have broad scopes. But this has just been great to sit down today and to talk and to get to know each of you as newbies, somewhat newbies, somewhat real newbies. So is there anything that we haven't touched on today that anybody would like to talk about? Because we've talked about a lot today.
We did. We covered a lot of ground.
Well, you all have a lot to talk about. I probably could each talk to you individually for 30 minutes. I don't think that any one of y'all probably want to do that, but you all have fascinating positions and do a tremendous amount for the city of Aiken. And we're just proud to have you on staff here. So if anybody would like to reach Lex or Joy or Courtney, you can call our city manager's office directly at 803-642-7654. And they each have direct lines as well. So again, thank you all for being here today. This was a pleasure for me. And we hope that you enjoyed it as well. And we'll see you next time for Aiken This Week.